Thank you. It's just me. I've got no team with me, so I hope nobody's disappointed. This is the last serious piece of business of the day, and it is really serious. And you might remember that sometime in the summer, about August, we sent round a survey asking you, how do you feel about being included under the LGBTQ plus umbrella? And how do you feel about being called queer as a kind of a shorthand to that? Now, we've collected those findings together into a short report. I don't think you're going to be very surprised to find out that most people absolutely hated it. I don't think, there wasn't a lot of suspense there. So we're going to be handing this report out now for you to have a look at, the numbers. In the meantime, I'd really like to read you a couple of comments people left in the open-ended questions about why they felt so strongly about it. So somebody says, LGB are sexualities, T is about gender. They're different and sometimes have needs that are mutually exclusive, which creates internal conflict. Therefore, groups that include all LGBTQ+ can't advocate for some of the letters included in there. Indeed, the T voices seem to now drown out the rest. As a lesbian, I feel marginalised, and I feel like I don't belong to a community that used to be very important to me. I feel ostracised and isolated. Somebody else says, I don't feel represented by LGBTQ+ staff orgs or networks. It negatively impacts on my rights as a gay man. It's becoming a meaningless and much ridiculed string of and. Today it seems more of a political identity than a neutral description. I'm not at ease with some of what this political brand represents. I believe in science, truth, honesty, authenticity, free speech, and supporting women, and the LGBTQ+ umbrella is now standing for delusion, pseudoscience, deception, criminalising speech, and codifying and promoting deep misogyny. Now, lastly, somebody says, I have absolute love and support to those under the rainbow, and I'm happy to love and support all. But as a gay man, I relate to LGB. That is what I identify as, and that is the group I believe I should be identified with. So, we have long argued that LGB and TQ+ have very little in common. And in fact, combining the two groups is wholly negative for LGB people. You might remember the BBC reporting the dangers to LGBTQ+ football fans going to Qatar. Now, asexual people or aromantic people or agender people, or all these other people that we think fall under the plus, were not in danger. The people in danger in Qatar are homosexual men who could face the death penalty. And I think it's absolutely unforgivable to deliberately mask the facts in the name of an extreme ideology. Unforgivable. And we also hear constantly how the LGBTQ+ community is demanding gender-affirming care for kids. We're not. You know, we are absolutely horrified that little boys and girls who don't fit the stereotype of what it means to be a boy or a girl are being told they might be the opposite sex and should have drugs and surgery to correct that. When we know that, left alone, many of those kids would just grow up to be lesbian or gay or bisexual. And it is a legislative minefield too. So the Conversion Practices Bill looks very likely to conflate gay conversion with talking therapy for troubled kids. We object to being used as a Trojan horse for legislation which will specifically harm gender non-conforming kids. It's legislation that will specifically harm gender non-conforming kids, many of whom would otherwise grow up to be lesbian, gay, or bisexual. It's just crazy. And we've had enough of it. So in 2021, the Inclusive Britain report found that aggregate terms like BAME, which is black and minority ethnic, took no account of the differing needs of the people within it or the outcomes. And it was also pretty patronising. All those people in the group hated it. So the government looked at that report, and it agreed, and it no longer uses BAME in its materials or in its communications. We want to see the same thing happen to LGBTQ. We need and deserve representation and support as lesbians, gay men and bisexuals. It is a key aim of LGB Alliance to make that happen in legislation, in data, in analysis, in the media, in institutions, in academia and in businesses. Everywhere, everywhere, definitely. So in the leaflet that we're handing around, there's a few ideas about how you can help us to make it happen. And we hope you'll take part, and we hope you'll follow our campaign, because it's going to be a really big deal for us. We want to make it happen. But LGB and TQ+, it's time to split.